Greetings. This is Robert Muhammad with National Network View. On tonight's Al-Asr Report, we have Student Minister Amon Muhammad, and he'll discuss the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's The Time and What Must Be Done, and how America has become an armed camp. Later in the show, we have NNV Contributor Charles Muhammad, who will provide us with tips on how to eat to live and proper vegetable selection. Before we delve into the top news, let's do a recap of the current events that we covered this week. On yesterday's broadcast, NNV reporter Tariq X and NNV correspondent Nina Shabazz discussed a recent interview with Valerie Campbell, a three-time published author and relationship coach advising women on how to attract the right man.
We did get into a little bit more of the specific details and how she came up with her specific formula, and just kind of what curated her particular platform. And this is what she was telling me.
I'm a data and energy coach, and how I got started was really, I didn't know, or I struggled with how to relate to men because I was brought up in a household where love really wasn't demonstrated. And so I went on a personal search, a personal development search to really find out about myself. And on that journey, I came across the law of attraction. And as the universe would have it, I landed in a job where I was surrounded by 120 men. I was the only female, the only black female at that. And throughout that 10-year period, I worked with these guys and I would literally just interact with them. It was my teaching ground on how to relate to men. And they would confide their secrets with me because I was actively interested in, how do you attract and keep a man? I would actively ask them the question of the day. And sometimes they would share their secrets with me and say, Valerie, we'd be banned from the round table for sharing this with you. And so I acquired all of this knowledge and I would share it with my girlfriends. And as they implemented what I had passed on, their relationships would change.
NNV reporter interviewed Tariq X interviewed Mark Harris, director of 1555 Filmworks and founder of the Inglewood Film Festival, about his upcoming release and his new comedy movie entitled White People Money.
So I see you have a new movie coming out May 7th, and it's a comedy called White People Money. So tell us a little bit about the film and why you made this particular film.
Mm-hmm. So the theatrical release is May 7th. It's going to hit. It's going to be in limited theaters, which is going to be in Texas, Cleveland, Detroit, and then we're going to announce more cities by tomorrow, and then more cities next week. But the video on demand release is actually tomorrow, where it's going to be on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, anywhere that, Vudu, anywhere that you can purchase a video on demand or movie is going to be there. But the reason why I made this film, because I wanted to touch on the subject of a couple, like the question was, like, if you had $1 billion, what actually would you do? How would you, what would you do for your community? And so we have the brother played Barton Fitzpatrick, who plays a character by the name of Kareem, who wins $1 billion. And when they win this money, him and his girlfriend, when they win this money, they they want to live the good life. They want to get the big homes and the fancy cars and so forth and so on. But when they do get those things, they discover that those things don't make them happy. So what they do is they decide, okay, since we have $1 billion, what we're going to do is we're going to start building up the community that they're from. And so that was the reason I wanted to do this film.
NNV's Tariq X also spoke with Vernon Muhammad with Musa Global Holdings Incorporated about blockchain investments, wealth building, and digital cryptocurrency.
With all the craze about cryptocurrency and trading and investing, and everybody is wanting to get involved, first, can you just give us a little bit of information on what is a blockchain and what is blockchain technology?
Sure. Blockchain is simply, the best way to understand it is it's just a record of transactions. For the old school people who used to have checkbooks, if you remember a checkbook, in the back of the checkbook, there used to be this long, this pages where you can write down the date and the time and what check you wrote and what check number. A blockchain is simply just a digital version of that ledger or record of transactions. And the blockchain technology is technology, just like Microsoft Windows or Oracle or whatever. It's technology that takes that record of transactions and turns it into a computer coding that actually serves a function.
NNV reporter Rosalind Parks spoke with Brian E. Muhammad, NNV contributor, about China's human rights abuses of Uyghur Muslims and other ethnic groups in China's Xinjiang region.
Why is China cracking down on Uyghur Muslims and other minority ethnic groups in its northwest Xinjiang province?
Well, this has been a long time issue between the groups of people in that area and the Chinese government. It's an area that is considered East Turkestan by some who dispute the area, that, and China, of course, is saying that this area belongs to them, and that's where they get the name Xinjiang from. And the problem, according to the Chinese government, the officials say that the actual problem with the Uyghurs is that the Uyghurs are a group of radicalized Muslims, as far as what China is saying, because the Uyghurs, which is the largest ethnic group in that area, are in a battle and has been in a battle really since around 1949 and beyond, but truly since 1949, in a battle for self-determination, because they are not Chinese people. They have their own language, they have their own culture, and they want to be independent of China. And so they have been in this all-out battle over the years for self-determination.
NNV reporter Rosalind Parks talked with Delphine Sellers of Urban Community Ergonomics about the nonprofit organization, its partnership with Catawba Trail Farm.
Where is Catawba Trail Farm located?
It's actually located in Durham, North Carolina, in what we call Northern Durham. If you wanted the actual address, it's 2080 Sawmill Creek Parkway here in Durham. We're on 53 acres of land.
That's
the majority of it now is wooded, which is one of the draws to the farm. So probably from 15 to 20 acres is what we're working on, and the rest remain in forest area. Okay. Right now we have plans to clear an additional 2 acres of the land so that we can provide access to more individuals who want to learn the skill and the trade of farming. So other than that, it will remain forested for camping, for hiking, for other outdoor activities such as bird watching even.
NNV's Rosalind Parks also interviewed rapper and recording artist Nye One about her personal journey to rapping and recording professionally.
How do those experiences translate into your music?
Absolutely. Definitely they translate because I have gone into a certain realm, a different way of life. It's almost like you are in a different world when you join the military. So it has definitely, changed a lot in my music because of that, those experiences, as far as, actually learning how to, be a person that is focused on survival fully, and 100%. That's really the only mission, is to survive and to help your comrades. So it definitely, impacted my music.
Our NNV reporter Rosalind Parks spoke with Dr. Akili about the rising levels of concern over CVST blood clots and the other reactions being reported after taking the COVID-19 vaccines.
What exactly is a clot?
Well, a clot is something that happens in the body normally. Most of us have had a scratch, a cut, some type of injury where we bleed. And that bleeding would continue if we didn't have the ability to clot. And so we have what we call clotting factors that are produced by the liver and other tissues. And then there's a specific blood cell type called platelets that actually clump up and produce what we see as a scab. And so that is the actual purpose of a clot, is to keep things from bleeding, keep us from bleeding to death when we have any type of injury.
Okay. Now, is it normal for a person to develop blood clots?
Yes, in those situations that I'm talking about. So, and then another example would be like a woman when she gets pregnant. There actually is a clot formed around that sperm and an egg after conception, and it starts to grow. That is considered a foreign body to a woman's body. So the body actually produces a clot around that to protect that growing baby. And so in situations like that in the human body, there are many normal reasons that we should produce a clot.
NNV's Rosalind Parks spoke with Thomas X, who shared his thoughts about the senseless gun violence affecting our community and about the killing of 7-year-old Jocelyn Adams at a McDonald's parking lot in Chicago, Illinois.
Black on black crime and another term, black on black violence, are controversial phrases often used to label and convey deeper meanings.
Right.
Are these terms what they call dog whistle language?
Coded language,
Yes.
or, language to get support from others outside of the community. Well, there's a yes and no attached to that, because we are unable to deny that violence happens within our community. However, violence happens within the communities of individuals who live in the community. So I'm pretty sure there's Asian on Asian violence, right? There's Caucasian on Caucasian violence. However, what's different with black on black violence is that there are others outside of the black community that also engage in violence toward black people. So with that term, it's possible that it's used as a dog whistle term or coded language to have others justify the violence that they commit on our community. However, we are unable to completely deny the fact that we have to deal with the issues within our own community of this violence against one another.
Our NNV News anchor, Brother Willie Muhammad, was joined by a guest, Dr. Gary Clark and Sister Sadia Kareem, who discussed the recent news stories and constant injustices being committed by police against Black people in America.
Why do you think we are continuing to see and witness these assaults against Black people in America, not only from law enforcement, but even from regular white folks who have no authority at all?
So it's business as usual. With modern day technology, what we're seeing now is what was being these atrocities that were being enacted on Black people, for centuries. So it's just a modern day lynching, but now that we have technology backing it up. So if we look historically, what would happen back in the early 1800s, the 1900s, we had these lynchings that would call out a gathering of people. People would pack up their children. I mean, you would have large assemblies to witness these mass killings. And so now with social media and technology, we're just seeing what has been always happening. And now we just have to speak to the truth of it. And I believe that the media, the way that the media is portraying this, is desensitizing those behind the scenes with their guns. And then with us, it's, the Willie Lynch mentality, putting us in our place and giving us the fear that the intention was there from the very beginning, is to put fear and to cull a population.
Let's pause from announcements from our sponsors. Afterwards, Student Minister Amon Muhammad will give us the Al-Asr Report. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds, online education, helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people, and upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now, 502-219-4848.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag Bank Black social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
The Al-Asr Report, current events and commentary on the time and what must be done. In part 3 of the time and what must be done, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke on how America has become an armed camp.
White people are buying guns at a phenomenal rate. These are not Black people in the gun stores. These are mostly white people buying weapons and ammunition to the degree that the stores have run out of ammunition to sell. What are they preparing for? Well, to my brothers and sisters in the inner cities, you have your little guns, and look at what we're doing to self. In Chicago, the statistics that I heard the other night on television, it's not a little over 400, it's nearly 500 deaths. Most of them in the inner city. Most of them Black men killing Black men, although you have police now that are killing young Black men all over this country in unprecedented numbers.
Joining us on tonight's Al-Asr Report is Student Minister Amon Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to the show.
Walaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Brother Robert.
Yes, sir. I can hear you well. So, brothers and sisters,
I can't hear Brother Robert.
I can hear you, my brother. I can hear you. We wanted to inform our viewing audience, according to a recent CNN article penned earlier this week on April 18th by Madeline Holcomb, there have been 45 mass shootings in the last month in America. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because gun violence in America has been on the rise. It's just not in the inner cities with the killing of black on black. But one interesting fact that we talk about is black on brown almost on a daily basis. And the most recent killing of Ma'Khia Bryant, a 16-year-old female black teenager, that took place earlier this week on Tuesday in Columbus, Ohio. It seems that we have some technical difficulty with our guests. And so as we work out those technical difficulties, we'll maybe bring him up. But the question, and maybe we'll go directly to our How to Eat to Live section. Are you there, brother Amon? Can you hear us? Brother Amon, can you hear us? So we're experiencing some technical difficulty here this evening. And so maybe we can skip to the next segment of our program, going directly to our brother Charles and the How to Eat to Live segment. There he is. Brother, like no other, we are honored to have you again. As always, Brother Charles, How to Eat to Live advises us of the foods we should eat and foods we should store in our houses, including carefully selected nutrient-rich vegetables. Joining us to discuss how to choose the proper vegetables is Charles Muhammad, NNV Contributor. Greetings, Assalamu alaikum, and Ramadan Mubarak.
Walaikum salam, Ramadan Kareem, and thanks for having me.
My favorite part of the show, my brother, we'll get directly into the questions. Should there be concerns of too many genetically modified foods in the food supply?
At this particular time in the United States, genetically modified foods have been creeping into the food supply. But we must first be specific on the genetic modification of foods, because natural genetic modification of foods does occur in nature. Now, the carrot, for instance, has a variety of sizes and colors, but that doesn't mean that man artificially went in and started injecting certain dyes or genetic material into the vegetables to make them change color or texture or size. Sometimes it's the adaptation element of life itself. It finds a way. And then finding a way, it adopts sometimes aspects of it, of its environment, or it develops new characteristics that helps it set apart itself in survival techniques. So in essence, modification genetically is natural, but what we don't want is the artificial genetic modification.
So wait a minute. So now all of this talk about GMO, genetically modified foods. So are you telling me that plants are naturally genetically modified in nature?
Yes. Well, particularly in South America, which is the southern part of this hemisphere, there are a variety of root vegetables, particularly potatoes, spuds or whatever you want to call them. So it's a very wide spectrum of them. If you've ever seen them collectively, you may have 3 or 4 dozen different looking starchy vegetables. But this happens because different areas of the planet, particularly in the southern hemisphere, you have different climates. So you have the Andes, which are mountainous, and then you have the Amazon, which is very tropical. So when you're growing vegetables, they adopt aspects and characteristics of the environment. That is genetically modified. So, but also you do have the hand of man in it, where there's certain tribes down in the Amazon, or cultures such as the Incas or the Aztecs, who did
do things to vegetables to enhance their size and sometimes the texture. So there's some root vegetables that are very sweet, some are very bitter, some are longer, some have thick roots, smaller roots. So yes, genetic modifying is natural.
Wow. So with all of the crying out about GMOs and genetically modified foods, given this fact that you just delivered to our audience, so are the cries against and over GMO overblown?
Well, I don't want to seem like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but yes, the cries are warranted because we have the usual suspects getting into the food supply and trying to make their products less costly on their end, but health-wise is costly on our end. Corn, for instance, many of us do not eat corn on a wholesale basis, but the ingredients that can be derived from corn is more of an industrial product than it is a food. You could get paper from corn, glues, you could get fuel, other textiles. You can make tires from corn. So, but the number one product in the food supply is high fructose corn syrup. So the producers of high fructose corn syrup say, hey, the way we make it shouldn't be a problem. We just want to get it to market. So the genetic modifying of corn makes it easier, and they have to spend less care and treatment for it when it's genetically modified, because they could add in its own pesticides where insects will bite it or rodents to try to get to it. Predator or birds, crows like to eat corn, but they eat it and they get sick and die off. But that type of residue still gets into the food supply and is harmful for it. So yes, artificially, genetically modified food by companies like Monsanto, yes, there should be a high concern about them and their control and influence in the government.
Wow. And, so Brother Charles, we've been hearing about companies like Monsanto, GMO, high fructose corn syrup. So in the industry and in the community, what's being done to combat this?
Well, from my research, wheat is the number one grain in America. And the farmers of wheat have pushed back. They are not accepting genetically modified wheat seeds. But what happens is that they are accepting of this chemical called glyphosate, which is a pesticide that is sprayed onto the wheat grain right before it's about to blossom and ready for harvest. What this chemical does, it suffocates the plant. So the plant tries to fight for life. And in this fight for life, it produces more fruit, which is the kernels, in the bigger kernels. So it's like a win-win. We get more and bigger wheat. At the same time, this chemical bleeds into the grain and the residue gets into the groundwater, and it seeps into other areas. So we in turn are applauding the farmers for not accepting GMO seeds, but the pesticide glyphosate is still a harmful additive for protecting the plant, but when it gets into the flour and the byproducts of wheat, it's very harmful. It causes other diseases that are on the back end of eating bread and its products.
And it reminds me of a science fiction movie where people are being poisoned by new technology. So what we're going to do right now, Brother Charles, we're going to take a pause for announcements from our sponsors, and we'll be right back. And we're going to try again with our brother student minister, Amon Muhammad. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Fatimah Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
And we're back again with our brother, Student Minister Amon Muhammad. Are you there, my brother?
Yes, sir. I'm here, brother. Thank you so much for your patience.
All right. Well, good. So we wanted to begin this discussion, serious and heavy discussion. Of course, we know that there have been 45 mass shootings just of recent. And not only is there a problem with rising violence in America, but there's rising violence, black on black crime, brown on brown, and with law enforcement and the police against us. Just recently, Ma'Khia Bryant, a 16-year-old female black teenager, that took place earlier this week, Tuesday, in Columbus, Ohio. So I want to get right to the questions. We know that we could talk all night about this and what's going on in our country and in our communities. Why do you think the social fabric of this country is degenerating like this? And what's the cause?
Yes, sir, brother Robert. I have to say, you know, as we look at what's happening in America, we see that we have not collectively worked on. We have a problem having adhered to good guidance. And what we're seeing now is the result of people who unfortunately have learned there has been a real problem with people adhering to good guidance. So now we are in a position where people are acting out where they feel at the moment. And I can hear I can hear you. So, you know, we have to figure out now, how will we help our people and others come to adhere good guidance? Because right now everybody's responding in a savage way.
Absolutely. So I question, why do you think in America there's such an infatuation with guns and violence?
Well, you know, brother, America, as we mostly know, America is a nation that was built on violence, built literally on bloodshed. So there has always been the elevation of violence, and to solve problems not through deliberative dialogue, but through fighting. So that is literally what the United States of America is built upon, and it seeps through everything, especially the educational system. And so since we've been here, this is all that we have learned, that we should solve our problems with violence. And that is what we're seeing today.
Right. So in your opinion, what types of measures, policies, or laws that can be implemented that can stem the tide of increased gun violence in this country, if any?
Well, brother, as I heard my brother speaking so eloquently about food and diet, there has to be, just as the response is with the COVID pandemic, we hear all of the solutions in relying on allopathic medicine or never or experimental vaccines, but never anything dealing with health, never anything dealing with things that we could do in a preventive way. So, when you're looking at America, America now has over 270 million guns. So with this great proliferation of guns, we won't be able to get all of the guns off of the street. However, we now have to educate folk and teach people in a way that we can make them not reach for a gun when it becomes time to settle arguments or settle our differences. So there has to be more teaching, more training, all the way down in the young age, the elementary school levels, teaching people how to solve their problems, how to have discussions and come to conclusions without resulting in a violent manner. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to stem the tide of violence, is by people learning how to sit down and talk about their differences.
Brother Amon, that is being presented. I have to ask the question. We give our entertainment industry license, creative license, and there's a glorification of violence in film. There's a glorification of violence in music. In fact, in all of the entertainment, should the entertainment corporations or the entertainment industries, should there be some modification to the content, and should they be held partially responsible, for the proliferation of violence that we see? We know that art sometimes imitates life, and so, in your opinion, should the entertainment industry be called to the carpet for its role in glorifying violence?
Absolutely. The entertainment industry has to be called to the carpet. I like that language. Has to be called to that carpet and accept its responsibility for its great contribution in the proliferation of guns, drugs, that we don't sometimes take into consideration the all of the drugs that are in America at present, that people are a lot of times when they're doing these things, they're high or intoxicated. So, that's also encouraged. That coupled with, again, resorting to violence first, then having a discussion later. So they have to accept responsibility. But those of us who are conscious, we now have to accept the responsibility of developing and innovating new platforms that we can come to our people and teach them and share with them. Let our folks see each other doing things in a positive manner, in a constructive way. So yes, that responsibility goes both ways. We can't let them off the hook, but what we can control now is the development of independent platforms to share daily these positive messages and solutions and ways, means, and methods that we can correct our own problems.
Yes, sir. So, I'm living in the state of Texas, Texas being a gun rights state. Just recently, there was a bill presented to allow citizens of the state of Texas to open carry without any type of licensing. And it's always been available for you to purchase a gun and own a gun here in the state of Texas and have it in your home and in your vehicle. But, of course, in recent years, you can file and you can open carry in the state of Texas. Do you think that the Second Amendment should be completely abolished or maybe even modified?
Yes. Well, brother, again, the Honorable Minister was Farrakhan in the historic Time and What Must Be Done series talked about the Second Amendment, and in fact, it's antiquated. America got started, it did not have a military. It did not have well-armed militia ready to respond, if you will, to attack. So the context surrounding the Second Amendment was to be able to defend this new burgeoning state that was growing. So since that time, America has established very well militias and means of defense and police forces and military and FBI, ATF. So in truth, there's no need.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, let's go to our next question. Are you still there, Brother Amon? We're having some technical difficulty again. We appreciate the valuable information being offered every single week. We thank Brother Charles for participating in the How to Eat to Live. We thank Student Minister Amon Muhammad for the Al-Asr Report. And brothers and sisters, we thank you for tuning in and logging in every single week. Thank you for joining us today and tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Robert Muhammad with National Network View News.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's final call cover story headline reads, "How much more can we stand?" The painful death of Dante Wright, the traumatic death of George Floyd, and the Derek Chauvin murder trial in Minnesota brings into focus how fragile Black life remains, and the constant, elusive, and almost non-existent giving of justice to Black people. How much loss can we stand? And have we had enough? This FCN Volume Number 28 edition features the middle page article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan entitled "The Intensifying Universal Cry for Justice." To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune into the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the NNVnews.com Final Call Cover Report.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Please make sure you leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. Follow us on Facebook, National Network View, and make sure to check us out on Twitter as well, National Network View. This is Sergio Gutierrez with National Network View, signing off.